Wednesday 13th, November 2013. I was running and hiding. I ran to where I saw a room, ran and hid inside. I locked the room and put myself against the door as much as I could. I had to. I had to keep myself from being taken by them. I was the only left with a sound mind to do it. Earlier, it was an ordinary week. I was at home watching TV when my friend, Mike, came over and told me what he heard on the news. "It's unbelievable," he said. I turned on the TV to see the results to the big game and caught it on a special news bulletin. Our world is swiftly being taken over by what seems to be advanced computer droids, and everyone is freaking out over this. I remember directly thinking, what a load. It's just another quick dying rumor. As always before the end of the week, they'll be speaking about how corrupt the government is, or how Seaford is going bankrupt, and will have to move. Later that evening, I decided to take a walk. I headed over to the neighborhood supermarket, and saw that they had all closed early. "It's only 4 o'clock. I said to myself, shaking my head and continuing further throughout the small part of Seaford I lived in, but nothing. I can't believe it. The town is dead. Where is everyone? They couldn't possibly have taken this news seriously. I continued throughout the abandoned town, noticing how some of the places were left open but there were no people inside, as if they got out and left town in a hurry. What is going on here? I said to myself. Am I dreaming this? I couldn't believe that the people of this town, who were usually so untrusting, would just leave with the slightest mention of droids. When I got to the corner of a cafe, closer to the entrance of town, I saw Mike and his sister, Jamie, and saw they shared the confusion I did. "Mike, what's going on? Where are all the people?" I said, as I was staring at the broken windows of the cafe. Mike looked at me and said, "I think they left town after the emergency broadcast." I noticed something in the far distance coming toward us. It looked like a herd of cattle running quickly. We stood there for a while confused and realized that they looked too much like the pictures we saw during the emergency broadcast. Metal machines that are formed as human with the same average size of a human. We knew they were harmful though because I saw one lifting a car with one hand. So we ran toward the inside of the town and hid inside a saloon. "There are at least 60 of them just in this block. What are we going to do?" said Mike. He was right. What were we going to do? Fight off 60 or more giant robots? As I sat down on a high chair, I saw a little red Fiat car. "Over there," I said. "We can get into that car, hot-wire it and drive back to my place. We can lock the security gate and be safe for at least 12 hours until we figure out what to do." Mike was driving and I was in the front passenger seat. On the way home, I stared out the window and saw all the destroyed trees and many smashed and burning cars. "Everyone else must be at a shelter or something," I said. When we got home, the gate was destroyed. Everything else seemed fine except for a tree that has been ripped out of the ground in the yard. I could see someone was inside the house because the door was open, so I told Mike to follow me inside and his sister to stay outside while we checked things out. Everything was normal. The house was cleaned as if my mom had been in the kitchen, so we went to the backyard to see if she was there. I really needed to use the bathroom, so Mike went out before me. I just finished when I heard Mike screaming. "Run!" Mike shouted as he ran from something I couldn't quite see at the time. As he got closer, I saw him running from my family. This included my parents, 2 sisters, 1 brother and my uncle. I didn't understand what was going on. These people looked like my family but were vicious. They didn't show any intention of peace. When I realized that there was something almost robot about them, I ran as well. We had to get away and figure out what was going on and what to do. When we got outside, Jamie was missing. I told her to stay here, I said as I looked around trying to see if there's another way she might have taken to get out of the yard. I hope they don't have her, Mike said anxiously. If we don't leave now, we might not be able to leave. We got to get out of here, I said. What about Jamie? Said Mike. We can't just leave her here. She can't fight them off. It's impossible. But before Mike could even finish his sentence, two grabbed him. I grabbed hold of his hand and tried to pull him free. Not Mike as well! I lost my grip and they pulled him away while the others came toward me quickly. I glanced back one more time and ran as fast as I could for the car, which was still standing there unharmed, to my surprise. About 20 minutes of driving, I realized the car was basically empty and I need to fill it up or I'll literally have to run from the robots. 10 from the next stop, I said out loud. I quickly refilled my car, looking all around me to see if anyone had been there and if there were any of those robots, but still nothing. After filling up the car, I went inside the little shop, which was also empty. I took some things and then left. As I started back to the car, I heard a voice call out to me. It was a deep male voice. It sounded like that of a middle-aged jazz singer. Excuse me, boy. Hold on a minute, I heard. I paused a while and looked around, then saw a man running towards me. When he finally reached me, he said, I bet you're trying to figure out what's going on. Follow me and I will explain. I followed him behind the building into a hallway and then down a stairway. We eventually reached where we were headed. It was a small room with a desk, a big computer, tons of posters on the wall, and music playing. In the corner were some broken golf clubs, pretty useless, I thought. I was there when the first one attacked. Somehow I got away, but not many others did, he said. Each of them have tiny chips, which they inject into the human body to turn them just like themselves. They seem to be programmed to turn all humans into exactly what they are and to destroy anything that interferes with that. I looked around and saw some pictures of them on his wall and phrases scribbled next to them. Then he walked closer to door and said, I discovered one of their weaknesses when they attacked me the other day. In fear, I threw a stainless steel spoon at one of the robots and it completely shut down, stopped moving and fell to the ground. I took it with me to look inside it. It looks like the steel interferes with the computer inside. After he told me everything he knew and gave me some weapons I could use, he showed me back to the car and I drove off in the direction of the house. It was about a 20-minute drive back, and on the way I picked up two lost strangers along the road, who were in pursuit of destroying the robots as well. First, a 20-year-old girl named Mandy, and 10 minutes later a guy named Carl. When we got into Seaford again, the town was even worse than it was before. Broken down buildings and random fires all over town. We parked the car a block away from my house, so that the robots won't immediately hear it. We got out whatever we could carry and started toward the yard. I had a steel rod and a stainless steel butter knife. I wasn't sure which of those would work. Carl had some scissors and a knife, and Mandy had a steel plate and also a knife. We got to my yard and it was slightly more crowded than I remember, with about 10 robots in the front yard, probably more in the backyard. Don't make a move, I said. If we stay still and move slowly, they might not see us as a threat yet. Okay, remember those are people who have been transformed, so if we penetrate the place where the chips are with stainless steel and remove them, they should return to normal. Let's hope it works, I said. We all entered the yard and went toward all the robots. There were many of them, and it was scary. As soon as we were about 5 steps into the yard, the robots stormed us. Mandy hit one with the plate over the head and it seized, and I tried to stab one with the rod, but it wouldn't work. It kept coming toward me until I finally grabbed the butter knife, and then the robot stopped. The rod must not be stainless steel, I said. The idea was to stop the robots and then take out the chips. Carl went into the house after taking down 2 and 3 followed him in. Mandy hit another one over the head, and after I annihilated another 2, it was quiet for a while. Suddenly, 6 of them came walking swiftly from the back of the yard toward us. When I heard Carl scream, I knew they had him and there was nothing we could do. Mandy and I ran the other way around and hid in a room and barricaded the door shut. Around the corner came a robot, and I threw my knife at it. This is the perfect time to test if we can get this one back to normal, Mandy said. I made a cut at the shoulder exactly where the man said the chip would be and removed it. Nothing happened. It didn't work. What are we going to do now? Said Mandy. I don't know, I said. And they're getting more and more. The robots were trying to get in. I heard one on the roof and at least 3 at the door. We have about 5 minutes until they get in, I said. Suddenly, we heard a sound in the corner of the room. It was some guy. It worked, Mandy exclaimed. What's going on? Asked the confused man. I didn't have time to explain. We're being attacked. Take this, you're going to need it, it will keep you safe, I said while handing him my knife. By the way, I'm Jim, he said as he shook my hand. I'm Matthew, I said. I no longer had a weapon and had to find something quick. I saw some candy wrappers in the corner of the room. They had silver on the inside. I took a chance that it would work. We opened up the door. Go ahead, guys. I'll be right behind you, I said as I walked toward the corner and grabbed the candy wrappers. I heard a major struggle, and when I got outside, Mandy and Jim were surrounded. I helped and they broke free. Then we ran to the front of the yard. We were slightly being cornered. We quickly walked backwards. My 2 friends fought bravely as I dodged the attack and looked for a decent weapon, but I couldn't find anything. There were now 5 robots left. I turned my back to grab a pole that lay on the ground, and when I turned back, I was surprised to see Mandy as a robot and Jim being ripped apart by these robots. I hit as hard as I could to penetrate the circle, but the pole only bent. Now, this is where we came in. Now it's only me and these robots, I thought to myself as I ran back to the room and shut the door. I stayed there for a while and thought of a way to get past all these machines. I have to finish this, I yelled. I opened the door and ran back to the front with only candy wrappers left. When I reached the front, I was shocked to find that the leftover robots included my parents. 2 came towards me as I held up the candy wrapper, but it wouldn't work. I fell down to my knees in surrender.